Title: Love at First Sight, or Not So Much. Lucia never believed in love at first sight. She had always been a rational person, of those who need time to analyze things before launching to the pool. And although her friends used to talk about blue princes and predestined destinies, she always thought that those fairy tales were just that, fairy tales. However, everything changed the day she met Andrés. It was an ordinary day. Lucia had decided to take a break from her hectic routine and decided to go to a cafe that had recently opened in the center. She entered, looking something quiet, a good book and a latte to help her disconnect from the stress. But what she didn't expect to find was Andrés. He was sitting at a table by the window, with a cup of coffee in hand, reading a newspaper. At first glance, nothing about him seemed to stand out. But when Lucia passed near his table, he looked up, and, for some inexplicable reason, his eyes met. That spark, that moment when the world seems to stop, happened. Really? Is this what they call love at first sight? Lucia thought, feeling a mixture of disbelief and a small involuntary sigh. But then, before he could react, he tripped over the corner of a chair and fell, literally, face first to the ground. The coffee, the book, and his dignity were the first to fall. Andrés, seeing the scene, quickly got up to help her, but not without a mischievous smile. "Are you all right?" he asked with contained laughter, extending his hand. Lucia, still, with her face red and coffee spilled all over her pants, she looked at him with a mixture of shame and frustration. The last thing she needed was for someone to see her in such a ridiculous situation. "Y estoy perfecta", dijo, intentando levantarse con gracia, pero sin mucho éxito. Andrés la observó con una expresión divertida en el rostro, pero al mismo tiempo notó lo auténtica que era Lucía. He had no pretensions, he didn't try to be something he wasn't, and that made him feel curious. While helping her get up, he couldn't help but let out a small chuckle. "I think you've had a rough landing." "So dramatic," he commented, trying to make her laugh to relieve the tension. Lucia, embarrassed but recognizing the playful tone of his voice, couldn't help but let out a nervous giggle. "Yes, boo. No, I have the talent to make even a coffee become a spectacle," he responded sarcastically, while cleaning the coffee off his pants. The conversation continued, although Lucia thought it would be the end of their encounter. However, something about Andrés made her continue talking, as if the connection was more than a mere coincidence. He offered her to join his table, and, after a few minutes of doubt, Lucia accepted. The meeting was disconcerting, fun, and to be honest, a little embarrassing for Lucia. Andrés had a sense of humor that made her laugh non-stop, and from his initial clumsiness, the conversation became so fluid that it seemed they had known each other forever. They talked about everything, from their favorite books to the most comical experiences of their lives. Lucia discovered that Andrés was also a lover of romantic comedy stories, and that, like her, he thought that love movies were absurd, until something really unexpected happened in real life. After a couple of hours of laughter and complicity, Andrés got up to leave, but before doing so, he gave her a knowing look. "You know, I think that was destiny." "The stumble I go," he commented in a playful tone. Lucia raised an eyebrow, knowing that he was teasing her, but she also felt that there was something more genuine behind those words. "Oh yes? Destiny has very poor coordination," then she replied, smiling. Andrés laughed, and before leaving left something surprising on the table. "I invite you to a coffee. Next time you don't fall," he said while he winked. Lucia was shocked, looking at the bill he had left on the table. A coffee? Was she really going to give another chance to the guy who had seen her fall so epically? Yes. However, at the same time, she realized that something had begun to change in her. Perhaps she didn't believe in love at first sight, but she did believe in something more important: second chances. And what it had started as a clumsy stumble, but it had transformed into an opportunity for something Lucia had never imagined. The coffee that Andres had promised arrived a few weeks later. This time, Lucia had done everything possible not to fall in front of him. And she succeeded, although she could not prevent a little coffee foam from spilling onto her hand. Andres, seeing that, burst out laughing. "Don't worry, Lucia. Clumsiness never goes away," he commented, giving her a handkerchief and relieving the tension of the moment. The romance between them grew little by little, with a touch of humor in each step, because for Lucia, love was not only a matter of being perfect, it was knowing how to laugh together, supporting each other, and above all, accepting the falls, the imperfections, and the second chances. And although at first she didn't believe it, Lucia understood that, sometimes, destiny can be a little clumsy, but that makes it even more interesting. And subscribe and comment.